Hey everybody, welcome back to the pod, The Doggone Positive Way, where this season I'm talking all about future-proofing your puppy and what that means to me and what I hope it means to you. You know, there are hundreds of thousands of dogs and cats that get turned into the shelter every year and they get killed. They get euthanized. We are going to be talking about euthanasia today. I'm going to be talking about the South Dakota governor. And let's just get into it, all right? Let's just talk about this situation. So I've got a video that I want to share with you. And it is just a little bit, it's a short clip about the dog, her killing the dog, and the way she killed the dog.
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, considered a possible contender for Donald Trump's running mate, is doubling down on the disclosure in her new memoir that she shot and killed her puppy named Cricket for attacking livestock and posing a danger to people.
And I had put months and months of training into this dog. This dog had gone to other trainers as well. All of that shows that when you put someone in a position where they have to make a decision and they want to protect their family and protect children and other people from getting attacked.
In an interview yesterday, Noem going further, saying President Biden's dog, Commander, should meet the same fate after attacking Secret Service personnel.
So how many people is enough people to be attacked and dangerously hurt before you make a decision on a dog?
Noem has faced backlash from both sides of the aisle for her dog-killing story.
So, she got this dog from another family who was having issues with the dog, with Cricket, and she has a farm. She has livestock. I guess there are a lot of farms around there, people raising their own food, and Cricket, this breed of dog that's behind me, is a wire-haired terrier. That is a bird dog. That is a hunting dog for birds. Okay? Let's just say that straight up. So the dog escaped her truck and went and killed the neighbor's chickens. Okay? Whatever. I mean, is it upsetting to the neighbors? Probably. You know, if it were me, I wouldn't like that. If that happened, obviously, I'd be upset, whatever. But I would not demand that my, neighbor kill their dog, okay? And they didn't. I'm not saying that they did. But what I am saying is that this woman took a gun and shot her dog on her property, which legally she can do, okay? That's neither here nor there. But here's the thing. She's like, oh, this dog is untrainable. I trained the dog for months and months, and the dog also went to other trainers. And that was the second decision. We tried training, now we're going to kill the dog. And we're not going to take the dog to a vet to be euthanized. We're just going to shoot the dog on our property. And that is like, I just wanted to say how I feel like I kind of dove into this, and this was kind of a hard one because, who wants to talk about euthanizing dogs or killing animals or whatever? And, it can also be triggering for people if you've had that during your life of, I happen to experience that where animals were killed and I was young and it was very traumatic for me. So her children asking like, oh, where's Cricket, and maybe they even asked about the goat. I don't know, that she killed that day. But when you're a kid, especially, that shit's traumatizing. Okay. So, euthanasia for behavior should be a last resort. It should not be the first, second, or third, or fourth. Maybe it shouldn't be a resort at all. So let's talk about a dog that you get. You adopt a dog, or you think you're going to get this dog from somewhere. It's an adult dog, and this adult dog happens to be aggressive. You get the dog, you're like, holy crap, what am I going to do? Okay. No dog is untrainable. Okay. And if you start having aggression problems with your animal first thing you need to do is go to your veterinarian and do blood work. I want you to get a full exam on your dog. Let's make sure the joints in their hips and their knees and everywhere are not in pain. You know, maybe there's some arthritis, maybe there's some injury, you know, maybe there's some hip dysplasia. There could be so many things that would cause pain. And I know when I'm in pain, I don't want to be talked to. I don't even want to have a conversation with anyone. That's just me. But yeah, because I'm like, no, don't talk to me, because I'm not in the mood. I'm in pain. I don't feel well. I don't have it in me. So, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way when you're not feeling well. So you have to kind of put that into perspective also. Okay, so you have a dog that's in pain. Would they bite? Maybe. Not always, maybe. Now, what else can your veterinarian test for? Your veterinarian can do extensive thyroid testing, because when beings have low thyroid production, it can cause like lethargy. You can also have skin problems. Your skin and hair could be greasy, but that's not always the case. So you could have a dog that doesn't really present with greasy skin, but they still have a low thyroid production. It may be on the low normal side, or it may be below normal. And you would for sure want to do some thyroid medication. And that could really help change your dog's behavior and their disposition. Because, I mean, just think about it from a human standpoint. When your hormones are not in line, it's not fun, you know, whether it's moodiness or physical, like hair loss, or, you know, any of the things that could come along with it. But, you know, we're talking here about an animal that was a young animal, 14 months old, not really a puppy, but definitely an adolescent. And when they're adolescents, they're goofballs. They're, you know, sometimes they're morons, you know, but guess what? If they're not trained as a puppy, they're going to be a handful. And you may have problems like this. But I'm going to tell you something professionally. I don't feel like this was an aggression problem, because this is something that this dog has this prey drive in. The dog is bred specific for hunting birds. The dog saw birds and got the birds and killed the birds. Now, I'm not a bird hunter, so they're probably not supposed to kill the bird. You know, it's probably supposed to be something that maybe they just, you know, the hunter shoots the bird and they go retrieve the bird and bring it back. But my point is that this dog is hardwired to hunt birds. Hello, it's a bird. Chickens are birds. This dog killed exactly what it was supposed to kill. And it, you know, whether whether the dog bit her or not is so unclear. I don't believe like probably 90% of what's coming out of this person's mouth, because it is just a bunch of lies, in my opinion, and just kind of, you know, just trying to sugarcoat things and turn it around even on the interviewers. Like, what would you do if you had a dog? You're a parent, da da da. That's not the point. That's not what we're talking about here. If you're going to pose that question to me, I'm not a parent, but if I was a parent, and you don't have to be a parent to make a decision on how to treat your animal if they have behavior problems. What about going to your veterinarian? Like I said, get blood work, get a physical, get some x-rays. Let's see what's going on with the dog. Okay, fine. You ruled out the medical. It's definitely a behavioral problem. How's about you go see a veterinary behaviorist, okay? I'm sorry, the lighting is really screwed up, you guys. How's about going to see a veterinarian behaviorist so that you can discuss the possibility of medication? Maybe something would help. Maybe Prozac will help. You know, there are so many different pharmacological remedies that you can choose from that may very well help your animal. And how's about training? Now, she said, she trained the dog for months and months and months, and that, she sent it to other trainers, and the dog's untrainable. That's bullshit. If you use science, your dog is not untrainable. Unless there's some like massive cognitive dysfunction where the animal can't learn anything, then okay. But no, I've trained some seriously aggressive dogs using science and not using force, because force doesn't work. Force will squash a behavior. Force, if timed correctly, also, you have to do your punishment timing right on the mark. Like, if you're late with your cookie, it's okay. If you're late with your jerk pop correction or your shock, you're really screwing things up, okay? You're correcting the wrong thing, or what you think you're correcting. It's just, the whole thing is a mess. Don't do that. Anyway, use science and train your dog and manage your dog, and don't put your dog in situations that are going to be triggering, like chickens. And how's about maybe you should have your dog in a crate in your truck. Your dog obviously doesn't have a sit stay in the truck because it got out to kill the chickens. Maybe you should have a seatbelt on your dog in your truck. Those are the simple things that are common sense that are not practiced with our animals. Seatbelts, crates. These are management tools. Yes, there's safety. If you hit the brakes, obviously, you don't want your dog flying through the air, hitting the dashboard, going through the windshield, hitting you, hitting other people in your car, because you slammed on the brakes. You want them also to be safe and protected, right? But you also, that's like a management thing. How many of you open the car door and your dog's like, woo, ready to go? But if you have the dog on a leash that is attached to a harness that is attached to the seatbelt in your car, then you don't have to worry as much. And that also gives you an opportunity to work on a sit stay because your dog is restrained already and you don't have to worry. Okay. So that's one thing right there. That was a teachable moment, but instead she killed the dog. Why? And why shoot the dog? I mean, like, was the dog looking at you when you looked down the freaking sight on the gun to shoot the dog? What was going on? Like, it's very disturbing to me. It's so, the whole story. And that was like, and this is part of her flex too, is I did the tough thing. No, you did the stupid thing. You did the irresponsible thing. You're an irresponsible pet owner. You shouldn't have animals. You just shouldn't have them because you're abusive. You're violent towards your dog. What are you doing to children? As you kind of alluded to it in one of your interviews, but I'm not going down that road. You know, and the other thing that I wanted to touch on is that she said in that clip, she's like, Biden's dog bit the Secret Service multiple times. And yes, Biden's dog did do that. And Biden's dog shouldn't have been on the property at all. It should have never gotten to that point. What's the bite history on Biden's dog? I don't know. Maybe I'm pretty sure the dog probably has a bite history, but we don't know the circumstances. But behavior doesn't happen in a vacuum. So I'm going to say that Commander was doing his job and protecting and bit the Secret Service guys. Don't have the dog in that situation. Lower the bar. You've risen, the bar is up too high for a dog that is, has the propensity to bite somebody because maybe they've bitten before, so lower the bar as far as the expectation, not as far as your dog's intelligence or your training. you've got to have control over your dog. You want to be able to just, have your dog respond to you, have your dog come to you and call, and even when they're on their way to freaking kill some birds or whatever, okay? What are you doing? Why can't you train your dog that way? I trained Scrat and Rufus off of squirrels. Do you know how hard that is with Jack Russells? But you know what? You know what's not hard is clicker training. And you know what made that easier for me is clicker training and using science and using operant conditioning. And so I was able to call both of my jacks away from a squirrel. That's huge. That is huge. I don't want my dogs, getting in with wild animals. Not at all. I don't want them killing wild animals. Even though Scrat did kill a couple snakes, like a Ginsu knife, but that's another story. So, I want to just also talk a little bit about adopting an older dog, and the trainability of that dog. I've had people come to my classes with 12, 13-year-old dogs that they just adopted, and it's great because they created a new bond with this dog who's an older dog that's been around somebody else their whole life, and that dog is obviously capable of learning. Like, why not? Like, do you think like you get to a certain age and you just kind of check out and stop learning and stop growing and stop stretching your mind? Our dogs, even the old ones, they need that. They need enrichment. They need to keep learning and everything. So you got to love people who are so committed that they're just, taking their dog to class when they're older dogs. It's amazing. So yeah. And so when you're adopting a dog, and this is something I would do, I want to find out what the history is of the dog. If the dog comes in as like an owner surrender, you can get some kind of a history if they ask the right questions. So I want to see how much history I can get on that dog from the shelter or rescue group. And then I also want to ask them, especially if there isn't history, maybe they found the dog on the street. Where did they find the dog? And oh, my light just died. Where did they find the dog? And was it in the country? Was it in the city? What kind of exposure are the surroundings, like the environment? If a dog, like I know somebody who found the dog, the shelter found the dog in the woods, and this dog has been bounced from state to state in a shelter down here. The dog was adopted. The dog is freaked out because they live in a city. So you've got to remember these things, okay? So I want you to find out as much as you can about the animal and what, if any, temperament testing or behavior screening the shelters or the rescue group does. Some don't do any, and they just adopt out an aggressive dog straight up. And it's like, they want to save every dog, but that's really not possible. You can't do that. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Some dogs are just too dangerous. And I'm talking about some serious dangerous dogs, okay? But see, did they have the dog around other dogs in the shelter, or is the foster and the rescue group able to expose the dog to their dogs, or do they have cats, or do they have children? What have they done? So it's important for you, even if they don't have any history as far as if it's an owner surrender, it's important for us to, ask as many questions as possible to find out what the living arrangements are, especially in a rescue group situation. That's in a shelter, it's really hard. It's also really hard to really determine how a dog is going to behave in that environment as opposed to a home environment. Shelters are nothing like home. They are noisy, they are just full of stress and anxiety for dogs and cats and whatever other animals get turned in. But so I think that, and I've seen it even with my dogs and Tammy's dogs, our original dogs, like Rufus, my dog, rest in peace, Rufus. My dog was completely different with Tammy, because Tammy is more like, hey, you know, like no rules, whatever, right? And Troy is completely different when she is around as far as his interaction with me. I have to work a little bit harder to get him to pay attention to me. So that's something I've been actively working on actually the last couple months, not couple months, couple weeks with him, is to get more reliability when Tammy's around. So we do know, I know, and I know other people know, I don't think there are any studies, maybe there are, but dogs behave differently in different environments with different people in different settings, and could behave one way in a house with me and another way in a house with you. It just depends. Everybody's different. That being said, if the dog is aggressive, the dog is aggressive, and you're going to see it come out. So now, when we're talking about, euthanasia in these dogs, I want to talk a little bit about that decision. That is one of the hardest decisions for a pet owner to make. It is not a decision that should be taken lightly. It should be incredibly hard for you to make that decision. So, yeah. The AVMA, which is the American Veterinary Medical Association, talks about medical euthanasia, and they use an injection. So this is what it reads: euthanasia is most often accomplished for pets by injection of a death-inducing drug. Your veterinarian may first administer a tranquilizer to relax your pet. Dr. Masters does that. I mean, you should totally do that. You should have a vet who does that. After the and then the euthanasia drug is injected. After the euthanasia drug has been injected, your pet will immediately become deeply and irreversibly unconscious as the drug stops brain function. I hated reading that. That's like so hard to read. And, I feel like it's so callous of her or anybody to be able to do that. She then, right after that, killed their billy goat because he was, obnoxious and, ran all over and knocked the kids over and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, dude, do you not know how to manage anything? Like, you know what? Let me just tell you something. Like, let's just go political for just a nanosecond. Like, you can't manage your dog and a fucking goat. How are you going to manage the country, woman? How are you going to manage the country if you took your dog behind the shed on a gravel pit and shot him in the fucking head? What are you talking about? I mean, come on. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to put some links in the description about Homeopet, which is talking about the different blood work that you can get for your pet as far as testing for titers, for vaccinations, and also the thyroid testing. A lot of vets will do a thyroid testing, but it's just like basic. And I want you guys to get the expanded thyroid test, T4, T3, free T3, and the TSH, but all of it, not just the TSH, okay? And spread the word. We've got to save these puppies in these streets, people. We cannot have these animals just like getting euthanized, and have people thinking, hey, it's okay. We can totally just, doesn't matter. We can kill the dog out back. Don't kill your dog outside. Don't just go shoot your dog because you got behavioral problems, okay? Talk to your vet. If your dog has behavioral problems, whether it's a new dog that you got as a puppy or it's a dog that you just adopted, whatever the case may be, and you're having behavior problems, find a veterinarian behaviorist. Talk to your veterinarian. Educate yourself. Go online. There's no excuse these days. There's so much evidence-based data out there about aggression with dogs, about treatment, about the science of training so that you can manage it, manage the behavior, and also you can make a well-educated decision as to, is this dog dangerous enough to euthanize? That happens. That's a real conversation and real thought. So don't judge yourself for that, and don't let other people judge you for it. It's not easy. I've had those conversations with clients. Those are hard ass conversations, okay? So don't take this lightly. Let's save as many puppies as possible. Let's get the word out there. Let's future-proof puppies. And I want you to help me by liking, sharing, and subscribing. You can follow me on all social at doggonpositive.com. You can email me at scrattiopatty@gmail.com. It's on the bottom ticker. And remember, future-proof your puppy, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Don't forget to have a doggone positive day.